how are you? This is Suzanne. I am the weight loss coach, and I'm coming in to talk to you today about how to overcome emotional eating. This is something that is my area of specialty, and nearly all of my clients are coming to me for that very reason. So I wanted to break it down into 7 steps. So over the next 7 weeks, rather than, put a whole lot of information on you, I'm going to just break it down into those 7 steps to overcome emotional eating. So today is step 1, and we actually really want to understand, when we're trying to understand, when we're trying to overcome something, we need to understand what it is and what we're dealing with, because it's like the work that I do with my clients is to get to the root cause. So what is emotional eating? Emotional eating is a behavior. Emotional eating is not something that we are. And what I notice is that a lot of people will label themselves as, I'm an emotional eater. And it's important to know that emotional eating is a behavior. It's not a thing. And the reason that it's important to know that it's not a thing is that the psychology of the mind, the way that the mind works, is that it's very literal. And whatever you say, your mind will try and support that statement. So whatever your thoughts are, whether they're positive or negative, your mind will seek to support it. So if you are labeling yourself an emotional eater, and we'll talk more about what exactly emotional eater is, but if you label yourself as an emotional eater in a negative, disempowering way, your mind is only going to think of going to food to satisfy your emotion. So, and that can give us quite a bad rap. So what I mean by that is, if we feel that it's negative, eating out of emotion is negative, we will always do that. We label ourselves as a negative emotional eater, and therefore we do the behavior because in our mind we can't help, we don't know why we can't help that. But it means that we're going to do it more and more. So what is the definition of emotional eating? The definition is the behavior of turning to food to regulate your emotions. So I'll say that again. The definition of emotional eating is the behavior of trying to, the behavior of turning to food to regulate your emotions. And so that it's an important distinction to know. And what we want to do is look at, what does that mean? Where does emotional eating come from? So throughout eons of time, in fact, going right back to the first couple, Adam and Eve, it's in our DNA to regulate our emotions by turning to food. And all of us will see where this is coming from when, we think about babies. Babies will always, when they're given either the bottle or the breast, when they're given some food, if they're in a very distressed state, i.e. I'm hungry, then they're given some food, they will calm themselves in nanoseconds. It's just quite interesting to watch. This is, in fact, our very first emotional experience of eating. And it's interesting to know that, when we're, as babies, we can't tell the difference between food and mum's touch and mum's warmth and soothing sounds and that sense of safety and security. It all is bundled up as one. And our minds are, and we as humans are trained to seek pleasure to avoid pain. And what I mean by that is food is pleasurable, no doubt. As you know, a baby who is crying is in pain because it's hungry. As soon as it gets food, which has all those pleasurable sensations around it, it settles, the baby settles. So as human beings, we are wired to seek pleasure to avoid pain. And that's very evident, in infancy. So the physiology of the body actually changes instantly as soon as we are given food. When we're looking to regulate our emotions, whether they be happy emotions or unhappy emotions, as soon as we have the food, the physiology of the body changes, the chemistry of the body changes. And we can talk to that around stress in our daily lives. We will always be in a dance of stress, whether it be the stress response or the relaxation response. So we have this response in our body, stress and relaxation, two opposing things. Obviously the relaxation response is the most beneficial place to be in, but our lives dictate to us that, there's stress in any moment, in any given situation. So because we are wired to seek pleasure to avoid the pain of stress, and as infants we were given, the bottle or the breast to alleviate our hunger, the pain of hunger, then our mind automatically goes to, well, what can I choose to regulate my emotion? And food is one of the quickest things that will regulate your emotion immediately. You will feel better as soon as you have something to eat. Now, I get it that if you have labelled yourself as an emotional eater in a negative frame, then you have that thing to eat, but then you'll beat yourself up and you'll get, really quite, you have a lot of negative thoughts around it after you've eaten that food. And that is obviously problematic, and there is a brilliant reason for that. And I'm going to talk about that in the next video. So today I just really wanted you to understand the meaning of emotional eating, that it's not a thing, it's a behavior. It's something that we do to regulate our emotions. It's the behavior of turning to food to regulate emotions, which is actually a very natural thing to do. As humans, we are, as I mentioned, designed to seek pleasure to avoid pain. The pleasure of food to avoid the pain of hunger. And over time, if you are going through a very stressful time in your life, then quite naturally you're going to go to food to avoid the pain of whatever is happening for you in your life. But that's not to say that we eat because we're happy, and we do. We're very social people, and when people get together as families, there'll be lots of food. I don't know if your family is like this, but every time we get together, there's just loads and loads of food, and we're always saying, well, when's the army coming? There's just so much here. But we do this because we enjoy it. We all make our food with love. We put it on the table for others to share. There's a sense of pride. There's a sense of well-being, and food is good, and it's supposed to be good. So there is another example of emotional eating. Another example would be if you're going out on a date. You're feeling sort of the anticipation of excitement and, oh, this is new, and I got dressed up to go out, and here I am, I'm eating food, I'm on a date, whether that be with your partner or someone new. There's a sense of excitement, there's an emotion there, and we're eating. So we will eat emotionally for many, many different reasons, whether it be positive or negative. So another aspect of understanding emotional eating is that, as I mentioned before, babies, when they receive the breast or the bottle, if they're hungry, they feel this sense of love and warmth and connection and being held, this sense of safety. And so, babies can't differentiate between safety and just the food. But it gives them a feeling of being okay. So they feel safe and secure. And so unconsciously, the program's running deep in our subconscious. When we are eating because we are in a stress state, we want to feel okay, and food will provide us with that unconscious feeling of being okay. So we are, in fact, all emotional eaters. Every time we eat, we're coming from an emotional space. If you've labelled yourself an emotional eater, as I mentioned, could be parties, could be first date. It could be when we're unhappy or we are happy. When we eat, our body goes into the relaxation response, the sense of pleasure, and it's a very normal, natural reaction, and our bodies are designed to do that. They want to seek pleasure to avoid pain. So I hope that has explained a little bit about the origins of emotional eating, the definition of, as I see it, and as how I've been trained to see emotional eating. Next week, we're going to look at why emotional eating is a brilliant strategy for you to understand the reasons why you're going to eat in ways that are unhelpful. So if you have any questions, comments, let me know, pop them, tag me underneath, and I'd love to hear your take on it. And next week we're going into step 2 of the 7 ways to overcome emotional eating. Okay, have a wonderful day everyone. Bye-bye.